Yeah.
Hey, what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
How you doing?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
So what's up? How does this work?
Oh, I don't know. What are you so triggered about?
Um, I don't think I'm not necessarily that triggered, to be honest. I mean, that's just kind of how I am on
Okay.
Reddit, to be completely honest. But I have
Gotcha.
been trying to get you to debate me for a while.
Oh, that's
So
weird. I mean, I normally accept pretty quick, so what's up?
I I didn't really have any topic specifically in mind. I don't know exactly where your views are on everything.
How
Although
can
I
you not
was
know exactly where my views are when you said you would run circles around your favorite man-child in an argument? What arguments have I given that you're like so triggered by?
I think the way that you argue, I think you kind of sometimes you dance around the point and you kind of get into minutia a little bit too much.
What is like an argument where I've like danced around the point or I've evaded the point?
Well, for one, I mean, you try to get people like you go into gotchas. You know what I mean? Like one specific time that I can think of, and I just perused your stuff, skimmed through it, is you were arguing about some guy or with some guy, and he wanted to establish an ethno state or something like that, and he was talking about black people or have never had uh any form of culture, and he listened, or in European countries were listening to Mozart and whatever, and you go, oh well, name one Mozart song. I mean, that's not a real argument, is it?
I mean, I'm willing to bet that guy knew a lot of hip hop songs. I mean,
Yeah, I
I
agree,
mean, like,
but you're not actually arguing with like the point that he was making, which is that there is differences between the two cultures and the people,
well, no, I was
right?
demonstrating the
And I don't even
hypocrisy of
agree
his
with him.
point.
I'm
Like
just saying,
he was trying to say that like he was an ethno realist, right, or a race realist, and he was trying to say that like
I don't know. I couldn't stand the guy, to be completely honest.
sure.
So
I
I
mean,
kind
he's
of
trying
shut
to make
off.
this claim that white people listen to like this more enlightened type of music, and black people have this bullshit music. Like, okay, well, what enlightened music do you listen to? If you're a white person, like I imagine you could throw out some Tchaikovsky songs or some shit or something, but he didn't know anything. So he was virtue signaling the point, and I thought it was a pretty easy way to illustrate it. I mean, I guess if I wanted to be like
Yeah, but
more,
you weren't really. But the point that he was making is that there was differences between the cultures and the people of the two. I mean, of between blacks and of Europeans. So making the point that he doesn't know any Mozart or anything is.
I mean, we can agree to disagree on this point, but I totally disagree that this is irrelevant. Like, if somebody's
All
going to
right, all
claim to
right,
me that they're racially
that's fine.
superior, and one of those differences is music, but then they can't give me any music while they're part of said master race, I feel like it's a pretty good illustration that they're being hypocritical on the point. I don't think that's totally irrelevant.
I mean, I guess to some extent, but him specifically being unknowledgeable, I mean, I do disagree with the guy, so I don't even want to get into
Yeah, I mean,
defending him.
no, I
So.
mean, like, if this was like a science debate, then theoretically that's true. He could say, well, actually, white people as a whole appreciate classical music more than black people as a whole. I might not be able to name a particular song. However, that's just because I particularly don't choose to listen to it. This still holds true for what I mean, he could have countered with that, but I mean, like, that was a pretty easy way to I thought that it was an easy way to demonstrate that the guy was being hypocritical on that point. And I mean, if you would have gone that route, then I could have appealed harder to, well, this is what white people tend to listen to, and if anybody goes to a fucking Kanye West concert, you're going to see a million white people in the audience, and if you go to any classical music concert, you're just going to see a bunch of really wealthy, snobby people there. Like, I mean, I thought that just a central point was ridiculous. The idea that white people cherish and listen to classical music when it's dying all over the world, and hip hop is the most popular form of music in the world. I don't know. That was, I mean, I could have argued it more, but
I mean, I didn't really. I just watched the beginning and I couldn't stand the guy, to be completely honest. But, what do you? I don't know what specifically your views are. I'm trying to think of something that I feel like I'm knowledgeable enough about to really, not just be like totally out of my element on.
okay. How can you hate me so much and not even know like anything that I talk about? I don't
Bro, I don't
understand.
hate you that much, but
You seem pretty mad.
no, dude, you look through my Reddit history. That's just how I am on Reddit.
I'm not looking
dude.
through your Reddit history. I'm just 3 or
All
4
right, that's fine,
comments
but
on
I'm
this
just.
thread.
I
Like,
understand that, but what I'm saying is, if you look through my Reddit history, that's not. I mean, that's just how I am on Reddit. I don't know why, but.
okay.
Anyway, uh, What are your views on circumcision?
It's pretty bad.
All right, I guess I'm with you on that. What else? What else? What about, do you believe gender roles come from more so biology, or do you think that they're more influenced by society?
I have no fucking idea. That's a real hard one. I mean, I'm sure it's a huge combination of both. I don't know which one plays more of a role.
Okay. I'll just pretend. Your chat's funny, man.
I mean, you went really fucking hard, dude. Now you have nothing to talk to me about.
All right, what do you want to talk about? What? You can pick anything you want. Just go through a couple and I'll...
Okay, let's talk about whether or not serialism is a valid compositional technique that allows us to escape the normal ways that we construct songs. I mean, I don't know. What do you want me to say? Like...
Well, I didn't think you would agree with me on the circumcision thing.
How could you think I'm pro-mutilating somebody that can't consent to it? How would I... In what world? I feel like you've never watched a single...
You're pro putting kids on to hormone blockers.
Sick in bed. Thanks for streaming.
Okay, what do you think might be some of the... Let's explore this topic. What do you think might be some of the differences between these two things?
Well, I'm not saying they're exactly analogous, but they are similar in some ways, no doubt about it.
Yeah, and my argument is that these are totally disanalogous and they're totally dissimilar. When you circumcise a kid, you do it for fun because you want him to look like you or because of whatever. That's, you know, whatever. The idea of putting someone on hormone blockers is supposed to be a way to make people not fucking kill themselves. I mean, I think that the outcome that you're going for is very different in these two cases.
Why does your chat... I literally did not... Yeah, your chat is stupid, bro.
Yeah, just don't read it, dude.
I got it. Say it again, please. My bad.
The difference, your goal in these two circumstances is entirely different. Like in circumcising people, you cut up their dick because you want them to look similar. But
you can't say that a 10-year-old has really any idea what they want. I understand you're gonna say, well, that's why we put them on hormone blockers.
It's not about what they. I can't argue with feels-based arguments. Okay, I can't do it. If you want to tell me how you feel about issues, I don't give a fuck. Okay, I can't do it. So the psych research. Okay, why do you think a 10-year-old can't know what they want to be in terms of gender?
Dude, 10-year-olds just go with whatever their parents want.
Do you have empirical data on that? That 10-year-olds just go with whatever their parents want? This is a feels argument.
Do you disagree with that? That parents or that 10-year-olds are heavily malleable and can be easily influenced by what their parents want and seek to please their parents? You disagree with that? I need empirical evidence. This is exactly what people are talking about when they say that you argue like...
I know, and it's why I fucking hate people that I fucking talk to. It's because somebody like you... No, there's not. There's no
things that are universally true that you don't need proof for. You need evidence that 10-year-olds seek to please their parents.
He's running circles around you.
That is true?
Just get over it.
That's not the question. You're taking this a step farther. Like if your question was
that was the point that I'm making. You're asking for empirical evidence. Absolutely, you just did that.
No, what I'm asking for evidence of is you're
asking for evidence that 10-year-olds seek to please.
What I'm asking for evidence of is if a 10-year-old will seek to please their parents so much that it would cause to it would lead them to gender identity confusion.
They might not understand the significance of that.
Because the thing is that
they might not understand the significance of gender. Of hormone blockers. So how can you even say that they would even
here
put
are
it
some
into
things
the same
that
realm that you are, because they wouldn't even know.
Okay,
they
let me
might
know
not
when you're
even
done
know.
telling me how you feel about things, okay? Let me know when you're done.
This isn't about how I feel.
It is how you feel. I couldn't give a fuck less.
Make a real argument.
Okay, so here are some things that I know to be true, okay? Transgender people are highly overrepresented when it comes to suicide figures. When you go through puberty, it causes irreversible changes to your body, especially if you're a man who's going through puberty. And I know that children start to explore questions of what gender they are and what gender they feel like before they're even 1 year old. This is all stuff that is really heavily researched, really well documented, really well understood, not controversial, okay? Now, the contentious point is it possible that making hormone blockers available to some children that might be confused about their gender identity would give them more time to make a decision that might lead them to not fucking hating themselves as they get older? Now, assuming the APA says that this type of a treatment is okay, I don't see the problem. And I don't see screaming about like, oh, 10-year-olds can't make decisions is doing anything to further the conversation.
How is... you think that's based off of feeling, but that's not. I mean, it is true. I don't know why you keep saying it's based off of feeling.
Because it's a boring argument that means nothing, and I can't sit here with some guy screaming, 10-year-olds can't make decisions. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do with that. I do know that I can look at research, and I can look at the percentage of children that feel dysphoria when they're young versus how much when they grow old, and then how many of them could have made decisions to be on puberty blockers that maybe would have resulted in them living happier lives. These are real concrete numbers that we can dig into.
You think it's a good idea for a 10-year-old to be on puberty blockers until when? For how long?
I don't know. I don't know. You would do longitudinal studies and figure it out. Maybe somebody starts at 10 and maybe by 12, 95% of the dysphoria is determined whether or not the person's going to have it for their whole life or not. I'm not sure. You would have to look at the numbers.
No, some things you don't need to do longitudinal studies for. You just
know
why,
because they're your feelings.
The reason why transgender people have such high suicide rates and depression rates is not because everybody is just out to get them and because they don't feel comfortable in society. It's because they have a mental illness, first of all.
Okay, I'm going to need a source on that one, Chief.
You need a source? Okay. What is body dysmorphia a mental illness?
Body dysphoria is, yes, classified as one right now, yes.
Okay. So why wouldn't gender dysmorphia be a mental illness?
I don't know what that means. What do you mean? What do you think body dysphoria is?
Body dysphoria is when you see yourself in the mirror as something that you're not. Say like anorexia or something like that. That would be body dysphoria.
Okay. I don't know what gender dysphoria
why
is.
wouldn't gender dysphoria be a mental illness if body dysphoria is? Just because, you know, an authority source tells you that it's not? I mean...
Okay,
you really think that...
you know what? Let's just grant you that. Let's say that it was, okay? Even if it was, if sexual reassignment surgery... Even if it was, well, I'm sorry, but the APA disagrees with you, and I'm going to go with the whole body of academic literature over your personal feelings on the issue, okay? So let's say...
but you can't make the point. Well, make the point why I'm incorrect instead of just saying that somebody else is saying that I'm incorrect. Who has authority, but... You still here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here.
I thought I lost you for a second.
No, I'm here. So...
Let's
say that it is a mental illness. Let's say that it is a mental illness. What if treating it, what if the best way to treat it is to change the body rather than the mind? Maybe it's easier to change the body than it is to change the mind. If that's the case, what's the problem with that recommended treatment?
I didn't say there was anything wrong with that. But I'm not...
Oh, then we're on the same page then. Then what do we disagree about?
We're on the same page in the regard that adults can make that decision. I mean, maybe... 16-year-olds and above or something like that, but a 10-year-old, and I understand that post-puberty and puberty is obviously a huge factor, and after puberty there's only so much that you can do, but
why not run some trials and see how it goes? Why not let people? Why not elect? Why is it a mistake to let? Why is it a mistake to empower people to figure out, you know, what they want to be when they grow up and they go? I don't understand. You can be so. Are you like fucking like a massive like anti-liberal or anti-democratic process or like what are your core?
This is the other thing that you do. You just immediately assume all of people. You assume the most negative stuff about everybody.
Yeah, I have to because on my side, because on my side, my condition is what I would like to do is empower people to make choices to live the best lives they can. And you're like virtue signaling me some weird thing where they're 10 so they can't do it. I don't understand. I'm trying to figure out where are you coming from where this is such a horrible idea.
When I was 10 years old, my parents got divorced. And this is an anecdote, obviously. But for a while, I was convinced that I didn't like my dad and I hated my dad just because I believed that's what my mom wanted. And it is probably to some extent what my mom wanted. 10-year-olds can be heavily influenced in any regard. And they're not going to see the significance necessarily, the huge significance.
Maybe that's a confounding factor that people could, believe it or not, take into account when it comes to prescribing hormone blockers. If the kid is going through some traumatic event or whatever. I mean, like, these are all things that can be accounted for.
If the parents are, you know, and I'm not saying this is some huge problem.
The parents are forcing the kids to be transgender?
They're not forcing them necessarily, even though I'm sure that does happen in some cases. So you can't just totally discount that and laugh about it. But it does happen in some cases, probably where the parents are, you know, very pro transgender, and they do want their parent or their kids to
this
be.
would have to be. I don't care. This is like the SJW boogeyman shit. This would have to be demonstrated to me for me to take seriously this argument that there are all these parents that are pressuring their children to become transgender.
I didn't say it was all these parents.
That's what. Then why would you bring it up if it's more than it's? I don't think it is.
It is to some extent, yeah. I mean, you can
okay,
say
sure.
that's
So
not,
the percentage of transgender people, if you had to put a ballpark estimate, how many people are transgender because their parents pressure them into being transgender people?
Of the truly transgender people, none. And you know, probably not a high percentage, to be completely honest. But of the young people, people under 18 or people under 12, 13, 14, probably, you know, at least 25%, something like that. I can't. It's kind of impossible to ballpark, but there certainly is a rise and there is a trend. You know, people want to be trendy and they see this as trendy.
Do you have? I mean, like I know how this is gonna go. Are you like a big Dick Masterson fan or?
No, not really. I don't really. I mean,
like
obviously, you know, I'm a PK fan. I've seen him on PK.
The fact that you would even sit here and try to say that without, I know for a fact you've never seen a number like this in your life. Like, I know how you've gotten to all of these data points that you've watched enough videos of anti-SJWs, you know, talking about. Then where do you get this idea that there's some sizable portion of children who are being pushed into?
How old are you?
29, 30.
Okay, so this is, I mean, you're not seeing it.
Exactly. See, that's what you're saying. You're doing the thing my
mom
does.
It,
yeah, I know. You're saying that you see it, but you have no data for me. I can't argue with you, dude. These are feelings arguments. Do you not understand what you're doing?
This is not feelings.
It is
okay,
feelings.
You can disagree that this is happening or not, but it's not feelings.
You're giving me feelings. Do you have data? The answer is no.
Just because I don't have data
means it's feelings. That's exactly no. That is exactly what feelings are.
Data does not mean that it's feelings.
That is exactly what a feeling is. You have a feeling about something. You don't have a quantifiable data point, so you have a feeling about something.
No, that's absolutely incorrect.
It is by definition correct. It is tautological. Like
no, that is not necessarily based off of feelings. That's incorrect.
Okay.
Just because you don't have quantifiable data does not mean that your views are based in feelings. I mean, there's plenty of things. I mean, how do you think people talked about? Was everybody who was philosophizing in, you know, ancient Greece and they didn't have quantifiable data on certain things? Was it just feelings?
Depends on what the subject was. I don't know.
If they were talking about anything in societal things, was it just feelings just because they didn't have data?
Yeah, if they don't have data, yeah, probably, yeah.
If there isn't concrete data on it, which, I mean, we're yet to see any data on this because it's, you know, it's happening. It's happening right now. You're asking for data on something that's,
something that you think we can't have data on things that are happening right now? Like,
I mean, to some extent, no, we can't.
Okay.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, but I mean, like, it would take me like 7 hours to get you to the point to where you understand why you're wrong. I don't feel like doing it right now, so.
I don't feel like doing it right now.
I mean, like, do you know how frustrating? Like, I feel like you would learn this type of stuff in high school, but you're so lost. Like, you're so far gone. Like, you think that you've watched a collection of videos, and now you're just like,
I haven't watched a collection of videos.
Then where do you get this idea that there are? Then where do you get this idea?
I'm telling you, I see it.
Wait, you see? You go to you go to psychiatric institutions and you see children coming in who have parents that are like, go be transgender today, Timmy, so I can call you Sally.
No,
what the fuck do you mean you see
it?
Clearly, where is it? Where?
In the United States.
How do you know that?
Because I've observed it.
What do you mean you've observed it? Are you counting the number of transgender people in the U.S.?
Listen, you can say that it's because they're more comfortable because, you know, it's not as looked down upon to be transgender anymore, and you know, they're given a comfortability with it, so now they're more open to showing themselves. You can say that's because of it, but to say that there hasn't been a rise in transgenderism and that sort of thing is just...
Okay, well, actually, I've observed the opposite. I think there's a massive decline in transgenderism, and I think it's because a lot of people are bullying transgenders into becoming cisgendered.
Well, that wouldn't follow any logic because the bullying has certainly gone down.
Nope, I think it's gone up. I've seen it go up a lot more.
Okay, well, you're wrong.
Why?
Because you are.
Why? Do you see the problem we're in now? Now we're both using feelings arguments, and you say that I'm wrong on no basis.
No, but you are just wrong.
Well, how am I wrong? I've seen it.
You want me to find
what?
Okay, sure. Do you want me to find a study? I mean, I haven't really looked into this to that extent because I haven't been watching videos as much as you want to assume that I am, and you want to assume the worst of people.
Okay.
Like
No, that's fine. If you haven't watched
voter IDs,
if you haven't looked at any of this shit,
people talking about voter IDs,
if you haven't looked at any of this shit, that's fine. Just say, hey, I don't know anything about this fucking topic, so I don't have an opinion on it. Why not just do that? You clearly fucking don't.
I will not say I'm some sort of expert, but that doesn't discount the point that I'm making. And now this is the other thing that I'm talking about with you and your arguments is that you get completely, you just force the entire argument off base because you want to drill down into nonsense.
I'm sorry that asking for some type of empirical data is drilling down into nonsense. Like, but I mean, like, if you're a feeling-based person, I understand why you feel that way. It's very uncomfortable for somebody to ask you to actually justify your belief when you're used to just being believed, like, fucking at face value without ever fucking thinking about a single thing you're saying. I mean, like, I understand the frustration, bro.
I'm not frustrated.
You are frustrated.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I mean, you're the one who gets frustrated. You're watching a clip, you get a little bit triggered.
I'm frustrated right now. Hell yeah, you better believe it. I had some guy that was ragging on me on fucking Reddit, and he comes on and he's as dumb as my fucking mom is with no reason. There's no excuse for you to be this stupid. But okay, you are, and then like you are. You're very stupid. You are. You have an inability to critically think about things. I mean, that's a pretty decent definition of somebody that's stupid.
That's incorrect.
Okay.
I'm not that stupid. Whatever. That's. Again, I mean, you get into ad hominem, but whatever.
No, it's not an ad hominem. It's directly related to this conversation. You have an incapability of engaging with the arguments because you don't have the intelligence to do so. Now, whether that's by choice or lack of education or because you're too fucking heated to have the conversation, I don't know. But when some guy is literally sitting here saying, listen, I feel this way, and that's why it's right, and you argue like a piece of shit, like...
I don't have empirical evidence on something offhand that I wasn't even planning to debate with you, but I didn't really come in here with anything specifically planned.
It's not a matter of having the evidence on hand. It's the difference in saying something. Like, here, let me give you, I'll go down 15 prompts. You can't use any of these now because if you say them, I won't believe you. But here are some things you could have said. You could have said, oh, well, that's crazy because I've seen evidence that points to the fact that the number of transgender people that exist in society today actually far outweighs what it used to in the past. I don't know if those numbers on hand.
That's what I said. What are you talking about?
No, you didn't. You said,
yes, I did.
I've seen it.
What are you talking about?
Don't even understand
I literally said that.
Okay. All right.
I literally said
that. All right, buddy. Do you have any, give me closing words. Okay, what are your final words?
When I asked you how old you were, I asked you how old you were, and then I said because you're not seeing it. You're not seeing how people my age are observing this.
Do you see that? No, you're doing it again. You think these two things are you think that this is the same? Saying, yeah, I've seen data that points to the fact that blah 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 blah. You think that's the same as saying
we've seen it?
We've seen it. That's not the same thing.
That would have been a good argument to make.
Okay.
I've observed a rise.
No, I don't care what you've observed. That's not what I'm saying. It's not even the same thing. Saying you've observed something is a lot different than saying, oh, you know, like, I've seen evidence of this. Not, I've observed it. There's a difference. There's a difference between the two things.
Okay, explain to me the difference, please.
Somebody saying, I've observed that there are more transgender people is a lot different than somebody saying, I've seen studies or I've seen numbers that point to the idea that there are more transgender people in society today than there were in the past. Those are two totally different things.
Okay, but you're right, they are, but that wasn't clear that's what you were saying, so.
Okay. All right, listen, hit us up with your final words, okay? Go for it.
I don't really have any final words, to be honest, but I mean, whatever, man.
Fuck me, dude. Fucking kill me. Holy shit. Why are these people always... This is like... It's so hard to like fucking read these comments. And then when they come on, like they're literally this dumb. Maybe we could have learned something today. Like, what the fuck? Fucking kill me. Holy shit. I would run circles around your favorite man-child in an argument. Like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like... If I can take the opposite position of you and you have no response, like, well, I feel like I see less transgender people. Well, you're wrong, bro. How do you know I'm wrong? Because I know you're wrong, bro. Okay. Okay, I'm out of fucking coal. I don't know what to do in this game. I have 2 tons left. What do I do? Let me talk about the subject Destiny. Nope, I'm good. I kill myself. I have to talk to another fucking conservative about trans shit. I will fucking end myself. Okay, I have one cool steam vent here. I've got a chlorine gas vent here. What am I supposed to do with fucking oil? With crude oil? Oh, wait. Do you think this might be like a crude oil vent?
Good job, Dusty Senpai.
I don't know how I'm doing this. What are you doing?
I'm the one
Hello?
that linked you to him. Sorry about that, Peppa Hands.
Are you still on this call? Testing, 1, 2. Hello, hello? Oh, it's still connecting. Oil into power / plastic. He just spammed, wait, hello? Oh, connecting. Why is Discord having fucking problems? No route. Hello? Are you stuck?
Hello?
Hey, what's up?
So I sent you the study.
Yeah?
I sent you a study
Okay.
that shows that there has been a rise, like I said, which is why I was right in saying that you're wrong. So now what? Now that it's no longer feels in your opinion.
Okay. 2 things. 1, rushing out to Google to try to find something to support what you already believe.
Oh my god, bro. Well, you said that I needed
is literally called confirmation bias, okay?
Okay, you're
Firstly,
correct, but
firstly,
you're correct.
Secondly, if you have an actual study, we can look at it. You could be right. Notice that in none of this have I ever actually said if you're right or wrong. I don't know. What I'm saying is that I can't argue about your feelings. Now, if you want to link me an actual study, yeah, then we can go through and we can look it up. Sure. We could read it. Purpose. In online forums, parents have been reporting that their children are experiencing what is described here as rapid onset gender dysphoria, appearing in the first time during puberty or even before its completion. The onset of gender dysphoria seemed to occur in the context of belonging to a peer group where one, multiple, even all of the friends have become gender dysphoric and transgender identified during the same time frame. Parents also report that their children exhibited an increase in social media / internet use prior to disclosure of a transgender identity. The purpose of the study was to document and explore these observations and describe the resulting presentation of gender dysphoria, which is inconsistent with existing research literature. So let's go down to the conclusion. Rapid onset gender dysphoria describes a phenomenon where the development of gender dysphoria is observed to begin suddenly during or after puberty in an adolescent or young adult who would not have met criteria for gender dysphoria in adulthood. ROGD, which is rapid onset gender dysphoria, appears to represent an entity that is distinct from the gender dysphoria observed in individuals who have previously been described as transgender. The worsening of mental well-being and parent-child relationships and behaviors that isolate AYAs from their parents, families, non-transgender friends, and mainstream sources of information are particularly concerning. More research is needed to better understand this phenomenon, its implications, and scope. So, firstly, this study is almost the exact opposite of what you said earlier, where it was parents that were pressuring children into becoming transgender. This is saying that it looks like
okay,
it's... Okay, sure. So, I mean,
okay. So maybe I was wrong about the reasons for it.
Okay.
Can say I'm wrong.
It's not a matter of saying you're right or wrong. It's a matter of the process.
Okay. So now that we can agree that there is a rise in transgenderism, and that there is an outside source that's having an influence.
This is a preliminary study. I don't know, like, this is still, okay.
Well, we don't, well, how much time do we have for the people who are growing up right now?
What do you mean? Why don't you ever apply this to the flip side? Like, you're very, very, very concerned about fucking people's... Well, you're very concerned about...
Tell me how I don't apply to the flip side?
Well, because you seem very concerned about people whose lives might be fucked up with hormone blockers, theoretically, but you don't seem to have any concern whatsoever that people whose lives...
Well, I want to have the debate about it. I'm not saying I'm necessarily correct. I'm willing to be swayed. The debate about whether or not using hormone blockers is correct.
Okay. So
we can have that debate, and it is happening right now. So you could say, "Oh, it's a preliminary study," But, you know, that's not gonna. The fact that it's just a preliminary study and we don't have.
Okay, you know what? Because
all
this
the
topic
data
is actually
yet.
really boring to me. We'll look it up. Okay, I haven't actually read about this before. Let's see. Are hormone blockers effective? Transgender. Let's find out. Or if anyone in chat has a study on this, let's go and look up. I don't know why you wouldn't just have this on hand.
Why I wouldn't have it on hand?
Or why you wouldn't, if you're so invested in debating this topic. Personally, I don't really care that much about
I
this.
came in here, I didn't know what I wanted to debate, but that was
Well,
something
this
that
is
I
what
saw
we're
you
talking
debating
about, no?
on
Like,
PK. Well, that is what we are talking about, but man, I just wanted to debate you, to be completely honest, and I saw you talking about that, so. And the first thing that I wanted to debate about, you actually agreed with me, so this is what I came to.
Okay, young adult psychological outcome after puberty suppression and gender reassignment. In recent years, puberty suppression by means of gonadotropin-releasing hormone analogs have become accepted method. A total of 55 young transgender adults would receive puberty suppression during conclusions. A clinical protocol of a multidisciplinary team with mental health professionals, physicians, and surgeons, including puberty suppression, followed by cross-sex hormones and gender reassignment surgery, provides gender dysphoric youth who seek gender reassignment for puberty early on the opportunity to develop into well-functioning young adults. Results. Sorry, let's read the results. After gender reassignment in young adulthood, the gender dysphoria was alleviated and psychological functioning had steadily improved. Well-being was similar to or better than same-age young adults from the general population. Improvements in psychological functioning were positively correlated with post-surgical subjective well-being. This is a small study. I mean, that could be pointing towards, but I don't know. Does anybody have any other studies of showing that there are bad impacts of doing the different outcomes post puberty suppression, or?
Well, there would certainly be bad outcomes while it's going on, I would think. In a lot of ways.
How?
You don't think that having, let's say, a kid hops on hormone blockers when he's 10 and he was going to enter puberty at 11 or 12, and then he doesn't enter puberty until he's 14, 15, or he delays it, you don't think that has negative consequences? I'm not saying that it's not outweighed. I mean, it certainly could be, but there are certainly negative consequences.
Sure, but I think if we were to weigh those, I think those would be pretty inconsequential compared to the long-term psychological well-being of a person.
It's possible, but I do still think, and I am seeing the reasons why, and I did see the reasons why even coming in, but I still think we just need a better way to, really be certain that it's necessary, because it is so consequential in a person's life. And if we get it wrong, I feel like that's...
Yeah, so again, I notice you're doing this thing where you only ever give credence to one side of the argument. Like, you're very, 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 very concerned about fucking this up, but you don't give us a
No, I just said...
Why
no.
do you say no to that? What do you mean you say no to that? What did I just say that you disagreed with?
That I'm only giving credence to one side of the argument?
Okay, why don't you
That's
care
not
at
true.
all
I
about...
just totally gave credence to the other side.
No,
I'm
you
saying
didn't.
that...
Why don't you care at all about the people that will grow up in the wrong bodies and then be fucked for the rest of their lives because they can't ever really transition to the other sex? Why don't you care about these people at all?
I do. Where are you getting that I don't?
Because you keep
Can
saying
you give
it's
me a specific example of me saying that?
Yeah, you keep saying it's really worrisome that we have to be absolutely 100% dead set on this in order to get this right.
Use one of your arguments. Just because I'm saying that one side is worrisome, that doesn't mean that there aren't problems for the other side.
No, but that's the implication. When you say...
No, it's not. Wait, whoa. No, it's not.
It's like fucking English. I can't even do this.
No, it's not. That's not the implication. You're wrong.
Here's an example, okay?
Wait,
let's say that we...
says-
No,
when
please let me
somebody
finish an
says
example.
that
No,
there's
this is
issues-
like fucking
when
basic
somebody says
language
that there's
English.
issues
This
in
is
the
like
black community,
whatever
that doesn't-
cooperative
there's no
principle, okay?
implication
Let's
that
say that
there's
we've got a
not
fleet of
issues with
cars.
other
Let's say that we got a fleet of
communities.
100 cars, and a whole bunch of people are dying in car accidents because there are no airbags. Let's say somebody says, okay, well, we should put airbags in this car. And then somebody's like, well, hold on. We really need to consider whether or not we want to put airbags because this could cause a lot of harm. Maybe we should stop and wait a second and do some research to make sure that airbags are really the right decision. The implication there is you're kind of saying, well, okay.
Did that. And they decided that there was enough positives to putting airbags in cars. They did that. They looked at the downsides of airbags. I'm sure they did that before they implemented airbags. Why wouldn't they? You don't think the car companies did that before they first put airbags in the cars? What are you talking about? Right or wrong?
I don't know, dude.
You're just laughing now, but
I'm laughing because you totally missed the fucking point of the analogy. Much the same way that you would investigate whether or not airbags are an effective means of combating vehicle death. Sure, you would also review whether or not giving hormone blockers to people is effective as well. I'm not saying you wouldn't do the study at all. I'm saying that when some person is constantly sitting on the sideline going, "Whoa, hold on, we need to make sure this is safe. Whoa, hold on, we need to make sure." The implication there is that, well, holy shit, like, do you not give a fuck at all about the problem that exists right now? Because it's heavily like what you're giving off.
No, it's not.
That's what it sounds like.
Making sure something is fine-tuned. Well, just because it sounds like something to you, I mean, that's a feeling, isn't it?
What is a feeling to me?
It's a little feels argument that you think that I'm making some sort of implication that I don't care about the other side. You're wrong, first of all. Second of all, when they were putting I did not miss the analogy. When they were putting airbags in the car, so I'm sure that they did look at, okay, well, what are the downsides of this airbag? And it is important to have people constantly being detractors to something. And
okay, let's come together. So then, do you think that it's a good idea that we are studying the impacts of these hormone blockers on some children? Do you think that's great that we're moving in that direction and we're trying to gather more data about it? Is that a positive thing or a negative thing?
I mean, it's hard to say, but
how is it hard to say?
I guess it has to be done, so I guess it's a positive. But I definitely do think that there are huge negatives to it, and there will be for some people, for sure.
Okay, do you not understand how everything you just said makes it sound like you're delegitimizing the other side? Does that not make sense to you at all?
I'm not delegitimizing the other side.
So you don't hear that at all? You're incapable of hearing that at all?
No, I get what you're saying. Maybe I am more worried about the other side, but I'm not delegitimizing the other side.
Okay, on one side, we can absolutely prove that transgender people are killing themselves way more than normal people. This other hypothetical side doesn't even exist yet, but you're super ultra concerned about them.
Let's say somebody who is normal and maybe has feelings of gender dysmorphia. Which one's what is it? Dysphoria? Okay. All right, thanks. Anyway, let's say maybe I can relate to the person who ends up, on hormone blockers and maybe didn't need to be, because I myself don't suffer from gender dysphoria. So
you go through puberty a little later. Who cares? Plenty of people go through puberty a little bit later anyways.
Who cares? I mean, you could say who cares, and now you're delegitimizing the other side. It's actually used delegitimizing everything. Let's be honest.
Because from what I'm aware, now I fully admit I could be wrong, okay? This is just an intuitive thing. It's kind of feels. I have never in my life heard that children that go through puberty a couple years later than their peers are committing suicides in super high numbers. It's possible that that data exists. I have never heard that in my entire life. Do you think that if we were to go searching for that, do you think that that material would, or that point would materialize?
I would guess that they do have a higher rate for sure. I don't know if it's as significant as the transgender rate. It probably isn't. But I would guess that, not being as big and strong as your peers and, maybe being easy to be picked on is, it probably does play a role for sure.
Okay.
I don't have the data. I mean, I don't even think if I looked up for data, there would be any, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I guess, my general feeling is that if you
did you get bullied in school for being smaller and weaker?
Nope. So my general feeling is that...
How'd you get so good at arguing, though?
What?
How'd you get so good at arguing?
Because I like arguing with people? I don't know. I don't know why people get bullied at school. I don't think it's just because they're smaller. Like, larger, fat kids get bullied all the fucking time. Or larger people in general can get bullied all the time. Or sometimes bullies are really small people. I mean, it happens. I don't know.
Agree.
So,
Were you a bully? A small bully?
I try not to be. So... I just don't understand why you would be so hesitant when you know that there are groups of people that are massively overrepresented for suicide, why you'd be so hesitant in trying to target these individuals at a young age and then give them access to a form of therapy or a medication treatment or regimen that would alleviate these suicidal tendencies growing older. Why this would be such a horrible fucking thing for you, or something that's so hard for you to buy into. I do agree that it could be like...
Well, I didn't say it was so hard for me to buy into. I mean, I'm here having the debate with you, aren't I? I'm not here.
Yeah, you are. But earlier, when I asked you about it, you're like, "Well, I guess that, I guess that we can have people maybe do this." And I don't know. You sounded really fucking hesitant.
Well, that's how people, they don't immediately just jump from one side to the other. They start to, grapple with changing their mind, don't they? I mean, come on, bro. Okay, I said I guess instead of saying yes, certainly you're right. I agree with you now. Come on, bro. You're just nitpicking stuff.
I'm not just nitpicking. It's the general trend of this conversation, and it's of every conservative that I talk to that has conversations. There's this idea that, like, we're going to be, like, slipping hormone blockers into the water supply, and normal kids are all going to be transitioning into transgender people all across the world, and that all their lives are going to be fucked up, and that we need to, like...
Nobody made that argument.
That's what it feels like.
Right
that's
now?
what I'm... Well, when you...
Oh, that's what it feels like. You're making a feeling argument, like you say.
Do you think that talking about feelings in general is the same thing as making a feels-based argument?
Well, you are making a feels-based argument.
Okay, when I talk to conservatives, oftentimes they give fantastical accounts of what transgender people are like. Here is a data point then, okay? A lot of conservatives were riling up a lot of people to be very upset about the ideas of transgender people walking into bathrooms and raping little girls. This is a point that was massively campaigned on. Okay, well, it was a big talking point for a lot of conservatives. This weird transgender boogeyman that... Okay, sure. I'm just saying that in general, conservatives put out these very fucking strange narratives about transgender people, and it leads to very confusing conversations. Oftentimes, when I have a talk with a person about a theoretical thing like puberty blockers, well, not theoretical, but a medical treatment like puberty blockers, they're always very quick to go like, whoa, 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 hold on. Like, there's a million reasons why we shouldn't do this, and it's like, okay, like you're pretending like if we don't do this, we're going to avoid all harm, but you're ignoring the fact that there are people that kill themselves right now because of these types of dysphoric feelings. So like, it seems like we should be like a little bit more open to trying to find ways to treat these types of people since they're so overrepresented in suicide rates. But the feeling I get when I have these conversations, now that's not to say that I'm making a feels-based argument that doesn't have data points. The feeling I get when I say feeling, what I mean is the actual points that are existing underneath what you're saying that I have to inductively reason out.
Well, you're making a feels-based argument when you're not even arguing with me, and you're feeling that I'm arguing something, or that I'm like somebody, specifically some conservative, evil conservative you've made up in your mind.
I don't know if you're an evil conservative or not, but you have all the same talking points that you do against transgender people. So yeah, I'm kind of boxing you in there in terms of assuming what it is you actually think or feel.
Yeah, based off of your feelings. That's why I'm saying you're making a feels-based argument.
Wait. If I had to add... Do you think that every single time somebody uses the word feeling that it means feels-based argument?
No, I don't. But I'm saying
then why are you
making
saying
a feels-based argument by trying to box me in.
That's great. It's okay. I love English. Okay, so let's talk. When I tell you that I have a feeling about something, what I mean to say here, I shouldn't use the word feeling. What I mean to say is I have a feeling about something. What I'm actually saying is I have inductively reasoned out to some decent percentage that I think that you have an underlying belief about something that you're not being honest about. Okay, that's what I generally mean. When I talk about a feeling-based argument, what I'm saying is you're making an argument prescribing some treatment for all of society that's based on no discernible data point, but just on a personal observation that may or may not be subject to a trillion different biases. There's a difference between a feeling-based argument versus I have a feeling about something. Like these aren't just because I say I have a feeling doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden using feels-based arguments.
What I'm saying.
What
I'm saying is, if you're arguing with somebody and you start jumping to conclusions about them and boxing them into stuff, which I mean you've been wrong about. So
what stuff have I been wrong about?
Feeling that, I mean, you start talking about the transgender bathroom thing. I don't even agree with that.
I don't know if you agree with that. I never said you agreed with that. I'm just saying that these are...
You didn't specifically say that I agree with that, but previous to you saying that, you were making the implication that I was somebody who would agree with that. You didn't specifically say I agree with that, but you were making, before you were making that point.
So earlier in the conversation, I think we were talking about like arguments that people make against transgender people, and I was taking issue with the idea that people seem to make all of these strange arguments about transgender people, and you're like, well, that's a feeling. I was like, well, that's not just a feeling. And then I gave an example of a really big argument that was mainstream news media coverage about arguments that people made against transgender people. I don't know if you in particular, I was just giving an example of like a larger mainstream point that people make against. You know what? I could totally understand how you would feel and how an outsider would listen to it and would think that I'm ascribing that viewpoint to you. So I apologize if it sounds like it did. And I totally think it's legitimate to think that I did ascribe that to you. Okay, so you might not believe that, and I can see how you think I would say you believe that. Okay, so that was my poor communication if you felt that way, okay?
Okay. Why do you think all of your arguments devolve into semantics like this?
Because the people that I usually have these discussions with aren't equipped to have them. They're so wrong, and they don't even realize how wrong they are. Like, the idea that you could come in here with no data, very quickly scramble for...
Yeah, I know, dude. Wrong they are.
Like, look at you scrambling to send me, like, a link to a data that you've never read before. You've never read that study in your life. Like, the second I hung up, you're like, oh, shit, I gotta find something, more transgender people.
Okay,
you probably, like, if I were to look in your Google history, it probably says, like...
My feelings-based argument, I was able to find a study for, and I was correct.
That doesn't mean anything.
My feeling...
The fact that you just said that shows how totally fucking ill-equipped you are to have any conversation about anything more complicated than who's your favorite team in fucking NFL, fucking Madden 95, NBA hoops, or whatever. Like, that's it, dude. Fuck me. I'm done. I can't do it. I can't fucking do it. I can't have this. I can't do this conversation. I'm gonna fucking kill myself. I just want to fucking play my fucking video games. That's all I want to do. Well, I had a feeling, and I looked it up, and I was actually right. So my feeling was right. Destiny, can you please explain why his thought process is retarded? I genuinely think he might get a lot out of it. I don't even know if he's listening, and I don't care. I don't care to. It's just, for, like, I don't understand how. No, never mind. I do understand. I don't care. I don't really want to do it, dude. I'm not getting paid to fucking teach here, and I don't think it'll matter that much anyway. Maybe just fucking. I can't do it. I don't know why you engage with them to begin with. Oh, because sometimes people that rage at me on Reddit have good points. Well, do you think I'm wasting all of my time disinfecting over here? Is that what's going on? Why do you go down these
crazy fucking rabbit holes with these guys about feels-based arguments when you have them nailed on the actual main points of the argument?
Because the points aren't the arguments themselves. That's almost irrelevant what the actual argument is. It's the way that you form ideas. That's the problem. The problem is that people are like just really bad at understanding how you're supposed to form like coherent arguments or ideas. And that's the thing I guess that bothers me the most about it. You know he's gonna leave the conversation thinking, I don't give a fuck. The thing is that literally everyone is doing feels-based arguments. You'll always run into this. Yeah, I mean, to some extent, I understand.